Every evening, just after sunset, Agnes sat at her kitchen table, the warm glow of the setting sun casting long shadows across the worn wood. As she sipped her tea, she caught sight of a dull flicker on the screen of her old television, static crawling like ghostly fingers across the surface. A familiar show played in the background, an unremarkable comfort in her otherwise quiet life. At first, it was just a slight moment of distraction. She blinked, and the reflection in their kitchen window seemed to linger, finishing her action a fraction of a second later. Agnes furrowed her brow but dismissed it as fatigue. After all, her sleep had been fitful lately, haunted by shadowy dreams and half-formed whispers that melted into the morning light. As days turned to weeks, the timing echoed through her life, subtle but increasingly unsettling. The clink of her spoon against the cup resonated ever so slightly out of sync, like a poorly tuned musical note. The candles on her table flickered, the wax pooling unnaturally, melting with an unpredictable rhythm, while the once sweet fragrance of chamomile turned sharp and bitter on her tongue. The mirror in the hallway became her unwilling companion. The familiar figures of daily life became jarring. Her movements would undulate like a marionette tugged by fraying strings. She'd wave, and the mirror would lift her hand in response, but the action always delayed, as if hesitating to mimic her every gesture. Each day began to drown in the thick feeling of being watched, the air constricting around her, binding her breath in the quiet desperation of uncertainty. One evening, Agnes noticed something different. The door to her study was slightly ajar. She always locked it before dinner, keen to keep her thoughts contained within the pages of her journal. The air grew colder as she approached, a gust of frigid wind sweeping past, sending fingers of goosebumps racing up her arms. Hesitating for just a moment, she pushed the door open, each creak sending a shiver down her spine. Inside, the shadows danced and the television sat eerily silent. No static, only a stillness that gripped the heart. As her gaze diverted to the mirror behind her desk, the reflection felt thicker than before. It glimmered with an unsettling sheen, warping the image it displayed, a darker shade to her own familiar face. And then, as her heart raced in the deafening isolation, she noticed her reflection staring back at her. But it wasn't merely mimicking her movements now. It leaned forward, a half-second too late, syncing with Agnes's own anxious breath. She froze, her heart hammering as she understood the sinister choreography. Her reflection was alive, a twisted echo of her being, a traitor lurking beneath the surface. In that moment, Agnes felt her body propelled backwards, hands trembling as she stumbled away. The cold air from the open door whipped through the room, sending dust motes swirling. She turned back to find her reflection, now moving with purpose, a sinister smile that grew wider, its diabolical intent resonating in the dim light. As dread flooded her body, she grasped the latch of the door, retreating into the hallway, while never letting the reflection break eye contact. Outside the door, the whispers abruptly stopped. She slammed it shut, heart racing, slumping against its solid frame, feeling the overwhelming weight of her breath. The door rattled as her reflection continued to watch in silence, its gaze a promise of impending doom. She forced herself to recall the words of an old family legend, the importance of severing ties. Taking a deep breath, Agnes retrieved the small mirror from her pocket. Drawing on the courage she had long buried, she whispered the name of her ancestral charm, a name forgotten in quiet years, which demanded to be remembered, Roulantor. As she spoke, the air shifted, a warmth embracing her body, vibrant and alive. The rattle of the door stilled, and she felt the tension dissipate within her, the shadows receding. The whispers began to unravel, but in their wake lingered the unspoken fear of the reflection still left behind. Her heart heavy with the knowledge of future echoes, Agnes stepped away from the door, locking it tight, forever carving a boundary that would keep her from her own treacherous likeness. Yet, every night since, she swears she can still hear the faint static bursting from the television, the whispered laughter of her departed self waiting, lingering, just beyond the threshold of her forgotten dreams.